All right, hello there, and welcome to a new week, a new episode of Crosstalk. But I have to say, the world seems to be in a state of same old, doesn't it? Now, I know what you're going to say. People keep talking about the new normal. Well, punchable people do. People called TAD who love to strategize about blue sky open box paradigm of the SOPs of VIPs. But really, it's the same old normal. Still some idiots, well, a lot of idiots, some heroes, and thankful we are for all of them, and some schmoes trying to eke out a living so that one day they can own their own mauve velour pantsuit and be welcomed into high society as a potentially novelty neighbor or someone who can be invited to dinner parties occasionally because they once rode 3 stops on an elevator with Christa Burr, and certain members of the societal hierarchy seem to find that fascinating. Anyway, I believe it was Jerry Rafferty of Steelers Wheel that said, "Clowns to the left of me, armed militias of ignorant white folk to the right of me, and here I am, stuck at home eating Chef Boyardee pasta with a nail file from a shoe. And not even a nice shoe, one of those croc things so that some of the pasta keeps falling out of the ventilation holes and splashing on my nicest lounging sweats." But into this madness puddle that we call life splashes Crosstalk, a chat show that the Basildon Times once referred to as mildly less irritating than poison ivy, but at least there's a cream for that. Our guest this week is an accomplished actor, director, musician, comedian, and all-round interesting fellow. Yes, it's Herbert Russell. Sir, welcome to Crosstalk.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me on. Hello from Los Angeles.
Yes, you're calling in from Los Angeles, where I believe it is hot and crazy, and the electricity has been on the fritz.
That's right. It's like 90-something degrees. We've had a few power outs today, and if our router goes down, I promise to make it up to you at another time. But I think we should be clear.
We should be fine. I'm monitoring the situation from a tower above the earth just to make sure that we're going to be okay. So we have all the technical stuff here at Crosstalk. That's why I'm coming to you live from a kitchen in Brooklyn.
Nice. Okay. I was thinking it was you and Tom Cruise that were going to go up with Elon Musk, and you'll be broadcasting live with Tom Cruise from SpaceX.
Wouldn't that be amazing if they like all the billionaires who are getting together for like with SpaceX and the actors and stuff, they said, we'll take like one schmo, like one regular dude, and we'll have like a raffle or whatever. And I was the one that won that raffle. That would be tremendous. Can you imagine that?
I can. I could just see you weightless. Yeah.
Yeah,
they say the camera adds 10 pounds, so you'd weigh about 10 pounds.
Yes. No, I would weigh a lot more than that, sir. I think that my webcam is clearly reducing the amount of poundage I have stuffed into my sweats at the moment after my COVID-19 that I've earned over the last few weeks.
Oh, so under this frame right now, you don't have the pants on. You've just got the sweats. You're doing...
I've got the sweats. I'm doing the full, like, I just crawled off the couch, put a shirt and tie on, and here we are.
Oh, business up top, party in the rear. Gotcha. Okay. You're like the mullet. Okay. Yes. I got you.
I am the walking embodiment of the mullet, sir. And I'm happy and proud to be there.
I'm wearing a child's inflatable tube.
Nice. And does it have a duck head or a swan head or something on it? Or is it just a
yes,
tube?
Both.
Both. It has a duck head on one side, for business casual, and a swan head on the back for parties, high society parties where they appreciate swans.
That's it.
And all they've done for royalty. lot of swans in royalty, Russell. I didn't know. Herbs, I didn't know if you noticed that. A lot of swans in royalty. The Queen owns all the swans in the UK, and you're not. They're essentially a protected species. You're not allowed to mess with swans under the wrath of the Queen. She comes out of Buckingham Palace with a trident, streaking down the Mall. And if you go into St. James's Park, which is right outside Buckingham Palace, where all the swans are, she will attack you if you so much as look at them funny. So you have to be careful with that.
You know something? I avoid swans whenever I see them. I know they might look pretty.
Yeah. I don't know if her universal wrath extends to other parts of either the Commonwealth or the former colonies. Like, I don't know if you accidentally punched or shot a swan in America, whether she would be allowed to, like, handcuff you and take you to the brig. But maybe, who knows? I mean, there are some dark underbellies royalty and the hierarchy and the aristocracy is the word I'm looking for, that could come for you. You know what I mean?
So I just be there on the rack. What are you in for, mate?
The swan.
Punch the swan.
Exactly.
It looked like a duck. It looked like a duck.
It came at me. I was eating a bread roll. So yeah, because it's not like a bear. Bears and sharks you can punch. They're legal. That's fine. Punch a bear, punch a shark. Swans, don't even try it.
All right. Here we go.
Prince Philip mobilizes like a military drone and just flies it over your house and just kind of,
Here in Los Feliz, California, we just have crackhead pigeons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
they're fun.
Do you do anything with that?
Them, punch them. I mean, they will take a licking. They really will.
They will. Yeah, that's fantastic. I once accidentally, and I'm not proud of this fact, but I once accidentally turned a corner and kicked a pigeon. I didn't mean to. It was just sitting there. I didn't know it was there. And as I turned the corner, my foot connected and the pigeon flew up in front of me. But post pigeon kick, is it wrong of me to say that it was mildly satisfying?
Not at all. In fact, I kicked them with intention.
Good. Of course, Tom Lehrer used to poison pigeons in the park and used to think that was a fantastic way to go about.
That's it, a little cyanide.
Yeah, exactly. I love how I could just drop Tom Lehrer into a conversation and people in 2020 are still aware of the genius.
Oh, I love Tom Lehrer. It's very special to me. And
yeah, he's fantastic. No, it's funny how a lot of that kind of vaudeville stuff or that parody stuff or satire stuff from that era still plays to children as they're coming into comedy, like as they're learning about comedy and figuring out about comedy, because it has a jaunty tune. And occasionally he says something that's a bit like, ooh, a bit bad or wrong, or I'm going to kick a pigeon or blow something up, or whatever it is.
Under the age of 7, I don't play them the masochism tango.
No, don't do that. No, that's not a song to play to a child. Although I'm pretty sure that about the age of 7, I was listening to that. But it was certainly one of my first introductions to kind of comedy music, along with obviously things like Monty Python and Not the 9 O'Clock News and some of the British stuff. But Tom Lehrer records, we had them lying around at home. And it ties sort of nicely into the first thing I wanted to kind of talk about from your career, because you've just done a period piece for Netflix, The Hollywood Show, where you play a director on the set of a Hollywood film, and that is set. Is it set in the 30s? Is that when that's set?
40s. I think it's 46.
40s. Oh, okay, 40s. All right, sorry, the 40s, and but is written in such a way, it's sort of a reappreciation and what's the word? Like a reimagining of what Hollywood might have been or could have been, with the sort of seedy underbelly of it. And it's from the producing team behind Glee, American Horror Story, Nip and Tuck, that whole shebang, right? Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan, is it?
Yes, that's correct.
So how did you get involved in Hollywood? What was how did you get into that? And what was it like once you were kind of sent back to that era?
Yes, well, it was a marvelous opportunity. Great chance to play. Came to me through my representation. I got a great team with Momentum and Entertainment Lab. We've been working real hard together for about 5 or 6 years, and I think I've done 3, maybe 4 Ryan Murphy shows over the last few years.
Okay, nice.
So that's also been very wonderful. I don't remember the sequence of events, which show came before each or whatever, but Hollywood was a real step up for me, really, to play with Mira Sorvino and Laura Harrier on the set. And the sets were gorgeous. And John, they had rented all of this vintage equipment. So they had all the 1940s. Have you ever seen a 1940s boom mic? It looks like a weapon, like
no,
something
I haven't seen it. No.
Something you would catapult over a moat with. It's kind of a it's
right.
It's a heavy, and if a piece of machinery like that fell on you, you were dead. That was it.
Right. Right. It's funny because they focus very often when you go to like a museum of a moving image or whatever, and there was one of those in the UK for a while, not anymore, sadly, but they'll focus on the cameras. So I've seen a lot of sort of older cameras and older camera rigs and things like that, but not an older boom mic. I didn't realize that.
Oh, it was incredible. Yeah, it just looked like an obscene piece of machinery. It's something that you would construct a bridge or a dam with. But it's just to get that, frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's so many people like that on Hollywood sets. I imagine the unsung heroes who have to stand carrying that stuff all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well, and they looked great too. I mean, all the background actors were dressed, of course, and you really could immerse yourself in that era. It was wonderful. In fact, I saw them every now and then getting shots of extras, or maybe trying to feature them next to their equipment. They, things that I don't even know if it ended up in the program. There was one that I was looking for in particular. They did a beautiful a tracking shot where they went up to one of the guys on the lighting rig, with his little hat and everything, and you look.
There was definitely some
beautiful.
Of that scene setting stuff in the show. Kim and I watched half of it, maybe 4 episodes, I think, so far we've watched.
Oh, you're gonna love it! It's so wonderful. It's really like you say, it's very dark. It's got a lot of dark stuff going on inside of it. But what's really light about it is all of the characters love one another, and they're really rooting for one another. Even though some of them are very, there's Jim Parsons. Well, he's very twisted,
Yeah.
But even with his demented personality, he's rooting for people. He's rooting he wants to make a star, and by the end of it kind of builds. You're going to love the show. It builds. And
well, it was interesting because I think it kind of spoke to the what I thought was really nice about it was it spoke to the ingrained nature of that behavior. I don't want to give too much away. I want people to watch it.
Right.
Sort of the ingrained nature of it, so that it wasn't seen as, I'm a bad person and I do bad things, or I'm a good person and I do good things. It was more this idea that behavior and that nature was sort of entrenched in the system, so that people just accepted it almost as a weird kind of just part of that industry. That spoke to, if anything, I think Kim and I were like, oh, I hope they really dig into that in the psychology of it, I think.
I believe they through creating this fantasy of what could have been, it kind of rights the wrongs of Hollywood of the past. Because here we are now, we're trying to dismantle this idea of, sex as currency and all of that,
Well, no, I mean, you only have to look at the fact that 30 years ago, the casting couch, just the words, the casting couch, are sort of a throwaway joke to a lot of people. And now in the post Me Too movement, it's utterly attacked and destroyed, as it should have been all along. And quite
I tell you, John, for me, a couch would have been nice.
Right.
For me, it was just up against the wall. Up against the wall.
Yeah. So I was going to say, you started very young, in your teens, right? When you first started acting?
Yes, I did, in a lineup. No. Yeah. I think I was 11 years old. I was a kid. I was just 11 years old. You
were 11 years old when you started. I will let you in on a secret. Kim and I did watch some of House Arrest today in preparation for this interview. So we will talk about that in a bit. But in terms of... I got an
interesting connection for you, though. The guy who wrote House Arrest, Michael Hitchcock, was a producer, writer, and actor on Glee.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So it all kind of...
So there's kind of a whole, intermingling of universes happening here.
Yeah, there's some continuity, which is wonderful.
There is some continuity. Yeah, Michael's a darling. He's the best. He really is.
So I believe a friend of yours, Linda Furyk, says that you are awesome in the chat. She just came in the comments and said,
"Hi, Linda. Awesome." Thank you. So, oh, Linda. Oh,
she's enjoying the conversation.
A relative of mine. Yeah, that would be I would call her Aunt Linda. I wonder how that shakes out on the actual tree, though. Hi, Linda. Love you. Thanks for tuning in. I think my father's cousin. probably going to comment on that now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's how that pulls in. Nice.
That's good.
So did you have, when you were working on Hollywood and obviously looking at the script and kind of some of the areas that they were touching on, and not necessarily all the kind of sexist currency thing, I'm not that, but was there a lot of the things that they were talking about the industry town that you kind of know all too well, having kind of come up in it throughout your entire life?
I think I missed the question. Are you asking me if I saw any of that in the script and in the material, or after when the show was out? Because I wasn't exposed to any material. They kept it very, very secretive. All I had were my own working sides, and I think I got those the night before. They were really keeping it under wraps.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know Len was such a jerk.
Oh, okay. Well, what I liked about your scenes, if we talk specifically about them, is that while there's obviously your scenes are there early on in the series to kind of highlight the treatment of the African American female in the cast of the film, and how they would have been marginalized and spoken down to in that period of Hollywood. And using the touchstone as sort of the Gone with the Wind, and the way the African American female is treated in that, and trying to tie that together. Yes, there's that undercurrent to it, but there is thankfully a sort of ironic comedy to the scene as well. So it doesn't labor that point. It's kind of slightly lighter and quirky. Even the way you play it as a sort of barking your orders and stamping around and stuff, there's some comedy to it, which I thought helped.
Yeah, the direction was marvelous. There were two directors that I worked with, Daniel Minahan and Michael Uppendahl. Those guys were really good at sculpting that performance, because we definitely had a range that I was working in. Some of it was quite sadistic and very, very broad. Others was more, they ended up with a very comical kind of a beat out of it. I thought that was a great choice, but we definitely explored a range of choices there. I guess they could have gone in a number of different directions. It's just a lot of fun to work with them, and with Mira and Laura Harrier, because they're just so brilliant and responsive and beautiful. And yeah, it was really kind of a very neat opportunity, really. And to sit in a director's chair and be barking orders, running around like trying to command the set is hilarious. And then my question was, they know when I yell cut, don't cut.
Yeah, right.
Keep rolling.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't let the power go to your head. You didn't suddenly turn on the crew of the actual show Hollywood and be like, well, I'm in charge now. Come on, Lau.
I think it was Michael on the third episode, my second episode. He was really also trying to play with, like you were touching on a minute ago, about like, this is just the culture of that era. Len might not even think he's a racist or any of this. He might not think he's a sexist. Len's just like an old, he's kind of a movie guy. He's not even A-list director. He's just banging out these pictures, man. You know what I mean? It's another day, Anyway, I don't want to spoil anything, for anyone that hasn't seen it yet, but
No, it's definitely worth a watch. People, I'll be definitely recommending it and pushing it. And you are great in it, Herbie. Definitely, you are. And it's interesting that there was you got to do multiple versions of it, because, like you say, definitely the final scene comes out to have, like I said at the beginning, kind of a slightly ironic comedy to it, rather than an oppressive, like you say, almost an attacking kind of racist view.
That's what I thought was magic about the whole series, is that they managed to lighten this all up and find a lot of love there between the cast members, and which I understand was really there behind the scenes too. I mean, they all really got along, which is great. Everybody was working together really to be at their best. So,
and it's a great cast with some cameos that they don't even advertise. They don't even promote the cameos at all. The cameos that show up and do bits here and there are, you kind of go, wait, was that,
Yeah.
Savino in your scene? I don't think she's mentioned in the credits, and if she was, I sorry, but I don't think we saw it. So when she came on the screen, I'm like, wait, what's going on there? It's crazy.
That's right. Yeah. I'm imagining now that a lot of 1940s film actors' IMDb pages are getting a update now, new photos,
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. And were you does your fandom of like, if we go back to kind of how you entered the industry, but also kind of what your feelings were about being an actor and being a performer as a kid and then as a teen, were you already a big fan of Hollywood? Had you grown up watching either the older films or the films of the 80s or whatever it was, and that's kind of where you always had your sights set? Or was it just something that kind of it ended up happening because that's where you ended up being, I guess?
Interesting question. I wasn't exposed to a lot of great film as a kid. I consumed just, late afternoon HBO, motorcycles exploding and lizard people and, all kinds of garbage movies like this,
The good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff. Exactly. The junk food film. That's what I grew up on. And I guess I started to develop a real love for it and a taste for it as I grew. And I've been very lucky to have great experiences kind of nudging me in that, in a more refined direction. But I'd say that love and that interest developed over time. It wasn't always there. I was just plopped in front of a television like any other kid, and that was it. Yeah.
So let's go back to when you first started. So you were on a TV series, is that correct? The Babysitters Club. Is IMDb correct that was your first?
That's an early credit for sure. And I guess that might be maybe that is my first television credit. Somewhere in there is a pilot as well that's not listed.
Okay.
And a couple other things that probably aren't listed. That was such a long time ago.
I know, 30 years ago now. It's crazy, right?
I'm still waiting for the Boy Sitters to get their own series.
Yeah, right. Where's the reboot of that? Where's the Babysitters Club reboot? That's what I want to see.
I'm waiting for it, John. If this Hollywood thing doesn't spin off for me, maybe the Babysitters Club.
Yeah.
30 years later,
So
he's back to freelancing, folks. The economy crashed. He's babysitting now in a COVID era.
Yes, the
kids all have gas masks on, and it sounds like Adventures in Babysitting, the movie with the girl with the little hammer of Thor and all that. I like where this is going. John, you're a creative guy. Let's write it. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not going to write it. I'm just going to bark orders. I would say it's got to be funnier, punchier, make it quick.
Make it funny. Put more lizard people in it.
All right, then the pigeons. No, swans.
Yes. What was it that I saw today? It was the murder hornets. Everyone's like, after the murder hornets, they're going to release like the sodomy squirrels or something. Like it's just going to go from one step to the next. It's going to become insane.
John.
And I think that if we put all of this into the show, it'll be great.
They do go after your nuts. So watch out for those sodomy squirrels.
The old sodomy squirrels. So were you were you out in California then? Is that how you got into the industry, or were you auditioning as a child actor out here on the East Coast?
No. There's nobody in my family that's an actor. Nobody's in the business. Nobody knows anything about that. My mom was taking me to the shopping mall, the real crummy shopping mall up in Westchester, New York, where your mom can buy the 99-cent socks and all the underwear that you could possibly need for the next school year because you're going through puberty and you're growing, And this mall had one of those movie theaters where for, whatever, your parent could get you into an R-rated flick if you wanted to go hang out there and they could go shop. I wanted to go see Nightmare on Elm Street part whatever it was. And so my mom bought a ticket. I went in to go see Nightmare on Elm Street. She went in to go buy the socks. And this is the dead mall. Kids don't want to hang out in there. They want to go to the movies. Maybe that's it. Play the arcade. The mall was packed. There was just hundreds of kids there. And an ad had been put out in the Penny Saver saying this manager from New York was looking for faces to television commercials. And my mom had this idea that this could work. So she put me in line. I had to wait about 6-7 hours just to get to talk to the guy. Plenty of time for her to buzz home, leave, just sitting at the mall alone for 6 hours while she's putting my sister's hair in hot curlers, to get her down to the shopping mall because they got to put her in front too. And they were a legit management company, and they told my folks, look, if you can get down to Manhattan 5 days a week, we'll get you kids some auditions. Maybe they could make it in commercials. I did. So that's how it started. Yeah. I owe it all to the inspiration that my mom had.
You were all to the shopping mall as well. I mean, if that isn't the true American story right there, I don't know what is.
And my first manager too, Jeff Mitchell. He was wonderful. He was really great. Got my start.
He had an office in the mall as well. Is that right?
Yeah, right by that plastic chicken that lays the eggs with the little, it was it.
Yeah, well, his office was normally where they put like the Easter Bunny and Santa and whatever. So every time a holiday came around, he would have to move up sticks and sit in the Starbucks or whatever down the road. But
sure. Yeah.
After that, he was in the little tent set up in the middle of the thing.
My first gig was playing an elf.
Yeah. Is that genuine? Was it, or are you just joking around now?
Just joking around.
Well, that's fantastic. I was not aware that was your origin story, but I kind of, as someone who is definitely a lover of in a weird way, a kind of lover of the sort of diner mall Americana thing. I think that's a wonderful origin story because you see it in TV and movies where, like, the kid is pushed in front of someone in a mall and is like, go dance or whatever it is, and then whatever. You don't think it really happens. So to know it really happens, that's just wonderful.
That kid is a terrible dancer, but it's so charming. Let's sign him. Yeah. I've been trying to catch up ever since.
Sorry, go ahead, Hub.
No, go ahead. I like it better when you prompt me. I don't know what to talk about.
You've played a couple of very iconic people's brothers. You've played Conan O'Brien's brother, and you've played Ron Swanson's brother. And so
I'm a Swanson, John. I can never live that one down. I'm a Swanson.
You are a Swanson. I'm talking to a Swanson, and I want to get into that because obviously we're huge Offerman fans as well here. So, and I just watched your Parks and Rec episodes today as well. So I kind of immersed myself rather in Herbert Russell performances this afternoon, which was a lot of fun. But how did you're working in New York, and your agent gets you set up at the Conan O'Brien show, and you do 2 episodes as his brother Neil. Do you remember anything about that? Do you have any?
A little bit. Well, it's incredible because they tape it live, and I remember at one show the musical guest was Morphine.
Okay.
And so that was a big mind blower for me because I was still kind of stuck in the past doing the whole Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd thing, and to be a young teenager and get exposed to Morphine, I was like, okay, saxophones and bass, I'm on it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it was really awesome. Conan was great. I remember the first time I met Conan O'Brien, he was in the hallway, and I wasn't sure. I don't know how busy Conan is, if he pays attention. I don't. I was young. I didn't know. Does he know I got cast in this? Does he even know who I am? And I'm coming down the hallway, and I just say something to him like, "Hey, jerk, your show stinks. It should have been mine." And he kind of gave me like a, yeah, whatever, kid, and was very sweet. He was really lovely. But yeah, I don't know. It was cool. You go live. I think they were testing that sketch out. I think it actually might have evolved into more work, but they got 2 sketches in and they were like, you know what, this idea really isn't panning out. This is terrible.
Well, they've just released all their old Vault stuff on Conan's website. So when that comes up and is available, I will try and track down those 2 episodes. Obviously,
I should probably explain for your audience's sake too why I was in the hallway attacking Conan O'Brien. That story makes no sense. The reason why I attacked him is because I'm playing his older brother, and present day Conan is using satellite technology to talk to his family back in the 1970s. Right. So the reason why I harassed Conan in the hallway was because I'm actually his older brother. I wanted him to, Anyway, just for your audience, I don't want them to think I'm a loose cannon in case I ever get invited back on the show.
So wait, they could do a meta thing now where he at home Skypes his older brother back in 93, 94 when you were originally on the show, and you now could play Neil again, and they could use clips from that old show as well, and like tie it all together. And you could play Neil in the 70s and the 90s, and then 20 years from now, do it and play it now.
John, anything you can do to bring back some of my former characters and get me work in the present day, I'm thrilled. I'm all about it.
It's
I like where you're going. Let's
make it all happen. Yeah, let's make it all happen. The world has gone up.
I still think it would be a pinnacle for me to get on a Nightmare on Elm Street project, just because that really was the whole reason why I was at that shopping mall, was to go see one of the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Listen, if Blumhouse has his way, he'll be remaking, re-chopping, reshooting, re-everything for the next 100 years. We won't be able to escape. Like, wasn't the 80s cool? Like, we won't be able to escape that for like the next 40 years. So don't worry about it. It'll come up, Herbert. When it does,
I'm waiting for the husky Freddy Krueger. I can play the husky Krueger.
You could. Well, no. To continue the trend, you should play Freddy's brother, like Alan Krueger.
Al Krueger.
Yeah. Maybe he's a small time. He runs like an electronics warehouse or something. But in the evening, he's got to be killing people or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll tweak the details. But.
Yeah. He just haunts you when you're napping.
Yeah. Well, no.
Have the deep sleep. Freddy gets the deep sleep. I just kind of come in and I, tickle your foot.
He haunts you when you zone out in business meetings. That's what he does. So when you zone out in business meetings, he like appears behind your boss and does like a weird dance or something.
There you go. He's got spoons on his fingers. He's eating from your latte.
Yeah. No, he has spoons on his fingers and he does like old vaudevillian ragtime like spoon songs. He's in a skiffle group. I got you. Here you go. Al Krueger. He's in a skiffle group. And he haunts you during a tedious business meeting. So that's the role that we should get for you, Herb. That's the next step. I tell you what, Blumhouse is printing money right now with that idea. He's just all over.
Yeah, we're going to run with that. Yeah.
So
they're going to get a much bigger Blumhouse after that. I mean,
yes, indeed. Yeah,
that house is going to bloom.
The house that Herb built. That's what it'll be. It'll be. I tell you what, I'll be first in line for an e-ticket, because obviously we won't be allowed to go to any actual theaters, so it'll be an e-ticket. I'll stream it. I'll pay top dollar on VOD or something just to piss off the theater companies. So then, if we carry on, House Arrest, which I watched today, so we have to talk about because I watched it, which is a lot of fun. It's a fantastically fun, goofy 90s movie. That must have been. I mean, obviously you've done Conan and stuff, but like, to be in front of that cast, like the adult cast in that, is not just the fact that it's kind of starry, but they're also incredibly accomplished. Like, it's a really nice mix of stars, but also those character actors that kind of just make a movie. You know what I mean? Like Kevin Pollak, like Wallace Shawn, Chris McDonald, people like that. They all, any movie they're in, you look at them, you know what I mean, when those scenes are on. So to have them all in this one movie, kind of all doing their shtick, is a lot of fun.
And even Ray Walston from, way back,
Right. Yeah. No, Ray Walston as well.
An interesting group. And I think Jennifer Tilly had a little appearance in there. And I think she was an Oscar winner or an Oscar nom at that point. So it was, So it was really exciting for a kid. Absolutely.
And it's a nice
they put Wallace Shawn in a wheelbarrow and I'm running him up into my, you know what I mean? Like, I could have killed the guy, for crying out loud. That's Wallace Shawn. Yeah.
So talk to us about like getting that gig and working on that gig. That must have been, because it's a fairly big Hollywood movie. You have a nice meaty part in it. And I was thrilled because the director, Harry Weiner, he did Space Camp, which was like one of my favorite movies. Yeah, Kim's too. Kim tells me about Space Camp all the time.
I love it. I love Space Camp. Yeah. So I was psyched. I was like, oh great, I'm gonna get to play with Harry Weiner and all of these great character actors, and it was really a treat. It was the first really big project I'd ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And wow, yeah, what a way to do it. It was great. I think I was in Los Angeles for 3 months, and to be 17 and running around a back lot somewhere in Hollywood, that was really a lot of fun. Yeah.
How much fun is it to trash? Because it looks like you're trashing a house, but obviously it's a set, I presume. But Home Alone and all those kind of era of movies where kids kind of run amok throughout their parents' domain, as it were. That must have been insane amounts of fun. Plus, you got to drive like an awesome 90s panel van. So that's another fantastic thing about the movie.
Hey, a little trivia. I designed the image on the side of that van.
That's fantastic. Did you paint it as well, or you just
school trailer where the kids all where we do our homework? And he said, I'd love it if you would draw something for me, and maybe we'll see about putting it on the side of the van.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm sitting there, I was trying to think like Iron Maiden. I was trying to go for that Iron Maiden, whatever that guy's name is on Iron, the skull.
Eddie.
I was trying to do Eddie, basically, like a knockoff Eddie. And they put it on the van. That van didn't run, by the way. Oh my God, what a hunk of junk that van was. They were so upset. They bought that van thinking they could, put it in a few seasons. They had to tow it everywhere. Thing didn't run.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny that those are the things, like they'll go ahead, they'll build a big set, they'll trash it, they'll do all this stuff, they'll get all these famous people in, but no one's thinking like, can we get a new engine for the van, or can we like replace the tires or anything? Nobody cares. We'll just push it on the day. We'll just push it or drag it or whatever. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
You did some great faces as well in that. There's some wonderful bits where your character TJ is like pulling out, especially in the van, where you pull out the driveway and you kind of do some like wild faces and stuff, which I absolutely adored.
Oh man, they gave me so much freedom, John. There's a funny scene in there. I don't know if you remember it or not. It's during one of the montages where the kids are like cleaning up the house and all this nonsense towards the end. They were filming the kids. I'm throwing plates to the kids, right? Tossing the plates, and the kids are setting the table, catching the plates and setting the table. Well, they shot me throwing the plates, one afternoon. And then on another day, they came back and shot the conga line of the kids all catching them. So every other take, I kept sneaking onto the end of the conga line and catching plates.
Yeah.
It's a busy bit of work or whatever. And Harry's like, pulls me over and he's like, you got to get in every take. And I looked at him. I said, no, you don't want me in there. You'll see it in the editing room, because of the continuity. There's no way I could throw a plate and catch a plate, But they left it in the picture. But that was just something. I was just being a crazy punk kid. So
you've got to do the very sly Eddie Murphy look to camera. You don't look right down the barrel, but you definitely like catch the thing and kind of go, and then carry on. It was like really well done. I enjoyed that immensely.
Yeah.
So you've got to be on. You've got to be in many, many different episodes of many very like famous TV shows. And I'm not going to list them all, but sort of Freaks and Geeks and Robot Chicken and Law and Order and all those kind of things. What's it like being the day player who comes on to an already established machine of a show that's kind of ticking over, and you're coming in to do your part for the day? I've actually spoken to a friend of mine who was actually a stand-in in Hollywood. He actually did a lot of shows as a lighting stand-in and also a day player and a bit parts and stuff as well. And so I have a little insight, but what was your experience kind of coming onto an existing set and kind of rolling up your sleeves and getting to work and muddling in with everybody?
It's an interesting question, because when you're coming on to a show like that as just a day player, you're having these very conflicting internal responses. Because on the one hand, you really want to assert yourself and be very, very, face forward, because you got to come in and represent whatever it is you're there to do.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you also want to be very humble and kind of, adapt and fit into the program, and so there's these very conflicting currents going on inside. I always think of what it was the Michael Caine acting book when he said, you want to be like a duck. You want to look real placid and serene up top, and underneath you're just paddling away like crazy,
Yeah.
Inside your heart is pumping, your adrenaline's coursing, and you're just trying to make, it look like It's no big deal.
It's no big deal. Yeah.
No big deal. But it's nerve-wracking, of course, and.
But also, you must have those experiences. And I know you have, because I've seen the Grace and Frankie episode, for example, where you got to just kiss Jane Fonda, where you must just be like, sorry, what just happened? Like, I just kissed Jane Fonda? Like, that must just
that was
be
very surreal.
You
There was
must have had
an
a
old vet. He was probably an old Army vet who was like a background actor on that afternoon. And after, 2 or 3 hours of shooting this thing from different angles, he goes, "Kid, you just kissed Barbarella." It's like, yeah, I know.
Right?
This is really
fantastic.
surreal. She's wonderful, by the way. She's really very nice. Very fun.
What I've always appreciated about the character actors, the people who get to kind of go for, you're not on a show for like 8-10 years, essentially kind of doing the same thing all the time. You kind of have got to spread your wings and do a whole bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Is that there's something almost more interesting and more fascinating to me about a career like that, in terms of just all the places you must have been and all the experiences you must have had.
Yeah, it's a real bag of Skittles. I'm the trail mix of acting.
It's fantastic, man. It's fantastic, and especially watching a few of the things today. Like, I just really enjoyed it, and enjoyed sort of seeing all the different things that you've done. But are there sort of 1 or 2 stories from set of anything that you've done that stand out to you, or sort of I don't want to spoil any of your like dinner table bon mots, but do you have any kind of stories that you like to tell about kind of on-set adventures?
Well, I guess offhand, I really would have to start filtering through my memories a good deal to find something amusing to share.
Well, no worries. I put you on the spot there, so it's absolutely fine.
Well, I knew I was coming on the show. You'd think I would have maybe spent a minute thinking about these things,
It's all good. We've got coming up, so every year on aftermoviediner.com, we do a series called Sleazy Spader Springtime, where we do 4 films that have featured the legend that is James Spader. I know you were in Secretary, but I know that you're not in a scene with Spader.
Okay, so I didn't meet James Spader when I was on Secretary, and I pretty much didn't meet Maggie Gyllenhaal, who is so wonderful and really such a great actor. And Fantastic. She was on set the day the house that they shot my little portion in. They were using, it was doubling as another set, and so they had just finished working with her. And she was off to the side, kind of very nondescript, with like an army jacket and cargo pants, and I mistook her for the crew, and I didn't want to get in her way or anything like that. So I just kind of let her be. Realized later who I was talking to. I was, oh, wow. So, But
no Spader stories, though.
Oh, no, I wish. I really love him so much. And he really...
I mean, not that Gyllenhaal isn't amazing. Gyllenhaal is amazing, but I just meant... I tried to tee up the Spader thing. That's all I meant.
Spader's fantastic. No, and I love how smarmy he is.
Yes.
For years, always playing that smarmy, slick kind of weasel characters. He's really great. He's so wonderful.
It's fantastic. I think that I've only seen the first series, but The Blacklist seems to be perfectly made for him, because he just gets to swan about in trilbies, drinking very small coffees and kind of oozing on people. It's sort of beautiful. It's sort of wonderful.
Yeah.
Incredible experiences then. I have to ask about the wonder that is Law and Order, just because Kim is an enormous fan, and I know you've appeared in Law and Order the original, and you've appeared in Law and Order LA.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think when I did Law and Order, the original Law and Order, that was in New York. I think that was Angie Harmon's first season on the show.
Okay.
And I was very nervous about working with her, and I felt like talk about being a character actor and having what they call imposter syndrome, where you just really don't feel like you belong there. For that one, I had to play this like hood rat type kid, and the way the thing was scripted phonetically, he was a hood rat. He was very like, I don't know what you talking about, man. Kind of a me and my cuz, all this kind of like lingo was written into the damn thing.
Yeah.
And I even think the character had a Latin name. I think I was Eddie DeSantis or something like that. So I'm sweating bullets about this because here I am, a curly, pink-faced Irish kid, you know. So we go to rehearse one. We're going to just like do a little quick camera rehearsal. It's my first time meeting Angie Harmon. And I go into my Eddie DeSantis and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, lady. This is my, you know. And she just goes, and she just starts laughing, you know, kind of like, is this real? Am I being punked? You know what I mean? Oh boy, I just zipped it right up and I was like, all right, I'm going to play this real small, you know, as small as I can. Of course, I'm bigger than life when you see me on screen. Huh?
Yeah.
But so there's a fun one for you about
that's fantastic.
The humiliation that comes with being a gig player. But they were all very nice to me. But
yeah, and you can suck that up and just be like, look, I didn't know what I was. I didn't get direction. I was just doing what it said on the page.
I got a fun one for you. Flip to the Law and Order Los Angeles. The guys that they had hired to the police come and they bust into the dorm room that I'm living in and throw me to the ground. I'm sitting with a bowl of popcorn playing video games, you know, throw me to the ground or whatever. These guys were real LAPD. They weren't actors. They were like moonlight. They were like picking up creds on the side or whatever, you know, doing a little side hustle. Yeah. These guys were so rough with me. They had no, there was, you know, there's an edge. They crossed it. I was like, oh crap, I'm really getting pinned to the ground.
Yeah.
You know?
This isn't how you do it in acting.
Yeah. So, you know, word to the wise, don't mess with the LAPD. I'm right. These guys are tough.
I mean, I wouldn't mess with any PDs at this point. They've all had their moments, you know. But we just got we got some people watching and listening at home that I just wanted to give a shout out to. Ed Cleves says hello. He's watching.
Yo, Ed.
Yeah. Brandon Moore is watching.
Brando.
And loved your comment about being the trail mix of acting. He thinks that should be. You probably just put that on your resume, Herb. Like that should just Herbert Russell, the trail mix of acting. Make that your IMDb tagline. That's what I would suggest.
I love it. Well, Ed's a great character actor. He's fantastic. And Brando's a composer, film score composer, who's brilliant. John, you would love his music. He's beautiful. He just did the score to Aliens Ate My Homework, which is on, I think it's streaming now, maybe on Netflix.
Nice. Yeah.
He's great. He does that real traditional Hollywood kind of like film score, like bright, plucky kind of a kid's score or sci-fi score. He's got all of that stuff in his wheelhouse. He's really very good.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. Hi, Brando. It's nice to meet you. And Amanda DiGiacomo, if I'm pronouncing that name correct.
Yeah. Hi, Amanda. How you doing,
She says, you're my old Croton hometown neighbor.
That's right. Grew up together. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Amanda and her sister were like my first friends.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
We're like 4 and 5 together.
And Stephen Cavey just said that he loves you.
Steve, love you, buddy. Thank you. Thanks for all your help.
We got nice people watching. Lots of great comments. Good. If anyone watching has any questions for Herb, now's the time. It's fantastic. Please ask any questions that I haven't covered. That would be great. So let's think of a way to wrap this up. We recently had your music play. We had our Bandcamp day where we played a ton of music to try and promote people picking up stuff on Bandcamp Day. And I know that they're doing one a month, so we will do that again. But how did that album come about? Anything you want? And how long has sort of music been something that you've been really into doing? And
I guess music's been a part of my life probably since like I was 14 or 15. I started writing songs, and I always wanted to put a collection of songs together. I forget what year that was. I put the record together, 2001, 2002. Anyway,
2002 was when it was recorded, according to your.
I needed to give birth to something, so I tried it, and it came out okay. And I've had a number of bands over the years since then, but you know, it's very difficult to keep a band going, and you know, I don't know. I learned some tough lessons too. I paid some money to go into a recording studio and didn't come out with anything that I could really put down, and learned a lot along the way. I don't know if I'm done with music yet, but
do you feel that
thanks,
it's
by the way, John, thanks for promoting the record. And your record was fantastic. I got yours that day.
Thank you.
Off of the Bandcamp as well. And your stuff is you're such a great lyricist.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's where I focus. Like I realized a long time ago that I'm not a performer in the sense I couldn't sit down with a guitar and entertain people purely with my virtuoso guitar playing, because it's just not a thing that I have the ability to do, even though I've been playing it now for 30 years. I can do what I can do on it, and I'm very happy with it. What I love is songwriting. I love songwriting. I love the ability to be able to have an idea, have a turn of phrase, have a poetic thing, whatever it is, and be able to put it somewhere. You know what I mean? It's not, a script takes time. A script takes multiple drafts. No one's sadly kind of reading poetry anymore, but a song, I can have it plays to lots of different things. It plays to my love of writing and wordplay and language and things like that. It plays to my joy of music. I just love music. I'm just a big music fan and music consumer. And it plays to I actually went to film school for a while and did a lot of editing and a lot of creating that way. And I love the idea that with a song, especially in the internet era, you can literally go from a blank piece of paper to having a song on Bandcamp in 3 hours if you want. You know what I mean? There's that way of, and editing it and mixing it and learning all that, like that to me is great. And then in the last couple of albums I've done, I've had a lot of collaborators. So that's always been a thing that I've wanted to do. And the internet allows you to do that, because someone in England or someone in the Midwest can send me a track and I can layer it onto what I've done. And it just lifts the song, elevates the song, becomes a whole other thing. And I love all that. So all that kind of feeds me creatively. And it's a hobby that you can kind of do anywhere and anytime. But me standing on stage and being like, hey, here's 10 songs I wrote, I don't know who's that interested in that. But I think I can put out a decent album that hopefully entertains people when they need some uplift or when they want to hear some quirky words.
You
so that's
sure
where
can,
I come
and you sure have. Absolutely. I'm a fan of you. Thank
you, sir. That's very cool, Herbert. And I loved your album. I own it. I think your album's great. And you should definitely do more. But I know that obviously, like when you're a creative person and when you're pursuing a career, was it more that your choice was, well, I've got to put everything I have really into the acting thing? Like music's great and I have a passion for it, but I need to kind of focus on the acting? Or do you think you could manage?
Yes, I think about 6 or 7 years ago, roughly, I made the decision that I'm going to put music aside and put all my eggs in this acting basket.
Yeah. Well, it's paying off, sir. It's paying off.
Yeah, when I was younger as an actor, I was winging it all the time. And it has occurred to me over 3 decades that it takes an awful lot of focus and discipline. You have to have big business acumen, and you have to develop your relationships professionally. You can't just rely on charm and good looks alone to make it as an actor. And so about 7-8 years ago, I made the decision to really kind of focus. I don't know, am I fluffing the numbers? I said 6 years, now 7.
That's fine.
I don't have a strong sense of time here.
None of us do anymore.
It's a consequence of freelancing for all of my adult life.
Yeah.
But and I think musically, like you were getting at your level at the guitar or something like that. My preferred music is, I love to listen to jazz. I like to listen to classical music. This is where I live. I like Latin music. I don't have any Latin rhythm in this body. And I do not have chops to just play a couple of runs on a guitar or do any of the things expressively that I would really like to do.
Yeah.
So I sort of realized that I was up against a real steep hill that I would have to climb and focus if I wanted to be a real serious musician. Yeah. And I think where my skills might manifest in the future is as more of a composer or a director like a producer, I guess, like put something together musically.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait to hear that. We can't wait to hear that. That'll be fantastic.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, do definitely. And now that you know the creator of Glee, if again they do a Glee reboot and they need a teacher to just come in and show his pipes and bust out a song, you're waiting in the wings there, Herb.
I thought you were going to volunteer yourself. I was going to say you should play it.
No.
The Englishman who comes in, and
sure.
I'll back you up. I'll bring the washboard and I'll back you up with my spoon.
If you could put in a word with your buddies Ryan and Ian, go right ahead. Just be like, I know a British dude in New York who can do a passable Tom Waits impression. If you want to bring him out, we'll do that. I'll come out and sing. Like, I'll be all British teaching the children. I'll be like, now we're going to do some mathematics and da-da-da-da-da. But then suddenly I sit down at the piano and I bust out like the piano has been drinking or something, and they'll just be, whoa! It'll be great.
I love it. I would do a postcard from a hooker in Minneapolis.
Postcard from a hooker in Minneapolis is a fantastic one. One of the best single singer-songwriter performances ever is his version of Tom Trowbert's Blues on the Old Grey Whistle Test in the 70s in Britain. He played the whole 7.5-minute song, and it's him and I think just a couple of backing musicians, because that's predominantly him on the piano. I think there's some strings as well. But it is like, considering the complexity of the lyric of that song and the resonance needed in the voice to sing the whole 7.5 minutes, plus he's playing the piano and everything. Find that on YouTube. His version of Tom Trowbert's Blues on Old Grey Whistle Test, just a phenomenal hair on the back of your neck kind of performance. It's
I love that.
Fantastic. I love that. And our last comment in the group is Glenn. Is it Gazoo?
Vaughn?
Glenn, I'm going to butcher that
Anthony
last name.
Vaughn.
No, it's Glenn Ganguza. Is it Ganguza?
Oh, Glenn's on the line.
Glenn
knows Kim. We went to school together.
He did. Yes, he says he's a Purchase college homie. So
that's right.
It's remarkable, Herb. We'll round out on this. This is a good way to finish. It's remarkable that the Purchase College alum that Kim has, that has through all corners of either entertainment or business, the mark that they've made is incredible. She will, we'll be doing something or driving somewhere or seeing something or go some, and she'll be like, oh, I know the guy who did that app. Oh, I know the guy who's in that TV show. Oh, I know the guy who made that song or whatever it is. And it's mind-blowing to me. What was in the water in Purchase at that time in the late 90s?
I think it was petrol fumes from the exhaust of the airstrip behind.
Oh, that's what it was.
Behind the quad. Yeah, it was really a remarkable group to be a part of. Absolutely.
You're also
really
accomplished.
Talented people. Yeah.
Yeah. You're also accomplished.
Glenn, by the way, is a fantastic artist and musician.
Nice.
And once he even sculpted with a chainsaw. Is that right?
Oh, Glenn, did you do some chainsaw sculpting? That would be fantastic. I'd love to see that. And I apologize again for not saying your last name correctly. I apologize. Ganguza. I think I've got it right now.
That's right.
Or Ganguza, maybe, because it's.
I'm getting misty, man. I love that all these people showed up for this broadcast. That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
These
Thanks
are
so
all
much,
really good
everybody,
friends. It's nice to have
watching
friends.
this. Yeah, and it's always good. That's the other thing, is I love doing these kind of things and being able to have, a finished video or a finished audio file where it's like, that's a bit of your life. Like, you've encompassed a bit of your life there. You know what I mean? There's your life story has kind of been put down on wax, as they say. Like, there's a little, you might not get the documentary made about you. I hope one day you do, but you have at least an hour long. Hey, here's me talking about my career and my dreams and my thing and da 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 da. I think that's nice. It's a nice thing for people to have, especially creative people who don't always get the spotlight. It's always 1% of creative people who get the spotlight, and then there's 99.9% of creative people who are just fucking doing great work, but maybe not getting the spotlight. So I love doing that. I love just having that finished thing. when I look back over my podcasts that I've done or shows that I've done, I'm also telling my story along the way as well. You know what I mean? And it's just a nice, you can put a little bow on it and be like, hey, learn about me. You know what I mean?
You are. Yeah, I was catching up on some of your old conversations when I was prepping to come on the show.
Yeah.
I don't listen to very many podcasts, so this was going to be very new for me. And I really appreciate you having me on, and I just think you do a wonderful job with it. And I know how much you really love the arts, film and music and all that stuff. So I really appreciate getting this opportunity to come on your show and be a part of that developing conversation. And
definitely,
this will be.
Well, it was a pleasure for me as well.
Yeah. So.
And we will do this again, hopefully at some point, either in person, maybe next time would be wonderful. It was great to meet you in LA, but it'll be nice. Next time we all get to hang out and maybe have a purchase reunion or something. We'll figure that out.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, man. Well, look, thanks ever so much for being on the show again. This will be available soon as a YouTube video and a podcast. I'll send you the links when it is. Everyone else in the chat room, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for being part of the show today. And again, follow Crosstalk or go to crosstalkshow.com in order to get this when it goes up finally online. Herb, thank you again. Best of luck with your continuing career. Great things for you in the future, I know, and we will be following them closely here. So thanks again. All the best to everybody. Have a great time. Stay safe and stay home.
Thanks, John.